Hi everyone, I am Varuni Trivedi, the editor-in-chief of Voice of Crypto, and I welcome you all to VOC's podcast series. Today we have with us Mr. Neeraj Nagarkatti, who is a global crypto tax accountant based in the UK. He is also an international tax consultant. Neeraj loves to talk about crypto taxes, blockchain technology, cryptocurrencies, and international taxes. Hi Neeraj, welcome to VOC's podcast.
Hello, and it's great to be here on Voice of Crypto. It's really a fantastic invitation, and I look forward to it. Absolutely.
Great. The idea of having people here on Voice of Crypto is to have multiple voices of crypto and have people speak their thoughts and address the crucial questions that still pertain in this sector. So I feel crypto taxes are a really interesting yet intense arena. Neeraj, how did you get into this space, and what is the particular thing that really interests you about cryptocurrencies, blockchain technologies, and taxes?
Well, just first of all, so you have a bit of background on me. I'm a qualified accountant in the UK, and I've worked in multinational companies all my career, not necessarily in crypto, and I've been used to dealing with cross-border taxes pretty much all my career. And then it was in March 2018, there was this webinar on which I found online about taxation and virtual currencies, and that sparked my interest a little bit. In fact, it's really interesting, and you see something new, and it goes through what is this virtual asset class. And then things quietened down for a good couple of years. In fact, it was probably another 2.5 years until another webinar sparked my interest, and that was hosted by a London tax society here in the UK. And it was a webinar which explained to other tax professionals how the taxation of cryptocurrency works, mainly from the UK perspective. And that was really interesting. But it really wasn't until until July last year when I'd finished a contract, and I thought, okay, let's go all in and pin nails to the mast and get into this world of crypto taxation. And here I am a few months later. It's actually still been less than a year, and already I've learned so much in this time. And the first thing I had to do in order to learn about it was, where do people from the crypto community hang out? And because there's no one specific place, so I started off, as you can imagine, on Facebook is usually a good place to start and find Facebook groups, and then Twitter as well, and Reddit. I saw a lot of questions and answers on Reddit, and a couple of crypto taxation groups, which were mainly US based, but just learning about that is an absolute boon, especially when you subscribe to them and they come into your feed daily. And I also learned some from webinars. So there was a webinar hosted from Singapore, from USA, and a couple from mainland Europe and UK as well, which got me interested there. And even you could even say through an unusual route, TikTok as well.
Wow.
So what happened was that I got signed up to, I thought, okay, what would be something which would be recognizable about what I do, and which isn't too over the top. And I thought, okay, people have called me a tax geek in the past. What happens if I just put, just crypto at the beginning and see how that goes? And I think that's proved fairly popular. And with TikTok as well, I found that a lot of it is humorous education is the best way to describe it. So it's where you have a conversation with yourself essentially, and it might be one person is the client and the other one is the tax advisor, and you make a humorous point through that. And I decided to put up a few videos on that, how that would work. And in my spare time, it helped as well that I also do a bit of part-time stand-up comedy as well.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So and I'd had a series of I released it like 100 must have been 100 or so TikToks back in a few months previously, in about April last year, not crypto related, but it was more to do with some doctor jokes or something.
Right.
But my experience of that made it fairly much easier to write a couple of things for TikTok, and it would be a joke like, how does a teenager crypto trader pay a dermatologist in Zitcoin?
That is a good joke. I'm sure.
Yeah.
You must have been.
I've got many more, but I don't want to give away too many, because I suppose I can push the listeners, or pinpoint, redirect them towards the TikTok channel. But I also started a Facebook group where it was more a repository really of storing my crypto jokes, and just started to invite people in there. And it was I think I've got something like 20 or 25, and I often challenge people to send me a new type of crypto, and I'll try and make a joke from it as well. So it's just because if you write yourself a list of crypto terms and try and convert that into a joke, then it's you're up against yourself, whereas there's more at stake, as in you're trying to impress someone really, aren't you, with your best line. If you send me a something, I think one was someone once suggested stablecoin, and I came up with a joke: if Jesus was born today, would they have given him a stablecoin? The wise men. So I suppose humor was one avenue as well, of genuinely as well trying to get to learn about different types of crypto as well. And then I thought, come on, you got to be talking to people. You can joke, of course, but you want to be as well having. You can be the jester in the corner, but you also have to have some substance behind it. So I started a study where I was looking at crypto tax friendly countries in the world.
Yeah.
And it was a great learning experience as well, because what I did was I took I think 40 questions and narrowed it down to 20, and by asking people to rank what makes for a tax-friendly crypto country. And these are things the rate of capital gains tax, rate of business tax, or tax allowances that you have for businesses in the crypto asset field. And actually, interestingly enough, the two top answers were, one are, whether the tax authority is going after strongly people from the, crypto investors or individual investors. So that was maybe not surprising, but it was something which did surprise me really, was the answer, or it was more the question actually, which is, to what extent does a tax authority have crypto tax education on their website?
Yeah.
And it is fairly tricky to find information on this subject. And actually, this is where the US does really well. The IRS has, a number of webinars. They've got a series, and they've got quite a lot of Q&As on their website. I think the UK did have a webinar which got, which is no longer, the link doesn't work anymore. But I think they point towards their guidance, which actually for tax professionals, it's a good read. For taxpayers, it can be, a bit of a labyrinth to guide through. But the good thing is that there are many other guides that, for example, crypto tax software providers.
Yeah.
They've provided a lot of guidance and interpretation on how this is how we would look at it, or how we would interpret it. So in that sense, and of course, because there's a lot of tax accountants there who have to, you have to file the returns.
Right.
Invariably, it's going to be a lot of tax accountants who will take a view on how a particular transaction is taxed, and more or less a consensus view is, for example, an increase in the value of a particular crypto in general will be subject to a capital gains tax. And
right.
As for one of your early questions, how did you get into
crypto taxes?
Crypto itself and the interest? I think it was the applications as well that are possible. So, for example, it's in a multinational organization, at the end of each month, you have to take a position on, you have three companies in 3 countries, and it might be, let's say, in India, then UK, and Dubai. And you have this almost charade where the UK company owes both Dubai and India money, and they have to pay it at certain times, but you've got to have a minimum bank balance as well in order to pay it, otherwise you go overdrawn. And you have to have a cutoff, and that takes a few days in like a month-end process. And then you have to take care of the settlements as well for intercompany. And this can take, especially for larger organizations which is quite common to have, over 10 countries trading as well, it can be quite an operation to settle those transactions. And in the future, you could have blockchain technology which works so that payments are settled practically instantly. And in addition, they could issue their own coins as well, own token, in order to settle those transactions. So that this is just one example of where the future of crypto in taxation could be, in a real practical way, it could help multinational organizations. So it was really a couple of other applications. And another unusual aspect was, I suppose, crypto and wills, because you have so many different types of, you have lots. That is, quite a, it's usually something that you don't think of ordinarily, or it's probably, number 10 conversation at a dinner party, and usually the prize that no one wants, like at a charity auction.
Right.
So leaving crypto in wills is something which I've recently been looking into, not for personal circumstances, but just to get to the answer of how would that be possible. And the answer is everyone will have their own solution, because it depends on what type of assets they have. So if it's, where would you leave your private keys? And some people might opt to place them in, a safe deposit box. So which almost goes against, your typical, as in having sovereignty over your property as well. So it's, it really is an interesting area, and one that I hope to look into more. And the other part was, I think the main interest was in terms of just the variety of the interest in the taxation of crypto and how it is taxed in the world. So, for example, you can start off from a jurisdiction which is tax-free for crypto, such as Cayman Islands or British Virgin Islands, if you're individual investor. But that's more because they don't have the concept of capital gains there or income tax, all the way to UK, USA, where there are fairly prescriptive rules for crypto taxation. And you have, I think as well, the similarities and differences are highly interesting. And just because it's taxed in one country like that, I think what's more interesting is when you see a similarity of how something is taxed. That's as in, like, if they went through the tax system and looked at, for example, they an increase in the price of a crypto asset that leads to capital gains, yes, we would come up with the same interpretation here in the UK as well. But there's also across the board we have we started off on the tax-free all the way to UK, USA, where they are taxable. And in some countries you have a different tax system completely, so you don't tax the realized gain.
So Neeraj, when we talk about the most crypto friendly countries in terms of taxes, what are the few names that come to your mind?
Oh, right, sure, of course. So for India, I think Dubai and UAE would be some very familiar jurisdiction, because there you have no capital gains and income tax there. Singapore as well. Singapore is
Yeah.
a place where you don't have much on crypto taxation. For a lot of Europeans, actually, especially in the UK, Portugal is seen as a really popular destination because they had a ruling from the tax office a few years ago, and they suggested that, you know, no capital gains tax should be imposed from crypto gains. And they also, if you combine that with the equivalent of not having your overseas earnings taxed in Portugal, so it's, you only get taxed on your Portuguese income, then that also makes for a fairly attractive tax regime. And you might have already heard countries like El Salvador as well, which have adopted Bitcoin as the national currency. And especially for overseas investors, Bitcoin is exempt from income tax and capital gains. So it's a fascinating place to be. And it would be interesting to see where Indian investors may head towards as well. And I would say that the UAE or Dubai is definitely a natural destination for them.
Understood. And how does the global tax regime look like?
Well, at the moment, you have the OECD, which is like a global body, which is looking at increasing the amount of regulation required for, you know, opening up like a reporting framework, so it's standardized across many countries, requiring crypto exchanges to report transactions which take place. And there's going to be a lot more exchanging of information in the coming years. So I think tax reporting and tax regulation is not only here to stay, but it's going to increase in the future. And it's one that especially people who are internationally mobile investors or who move from country to country, it's something to be aware of, and they should it's not somewhere where you can, you know, from 30 years ago, where you can hide your money in a Swiss bank account. I mean, that's even that now is less common. And for crypto, I think it will be, and everything is recorded on the blockchain as well. So it's at some point will be traceable, and tax authorities would be able to, at some point, maybe not now. I think the issue is actually with all the, you know, information, tax authorities would have the information to hand, but it might not be for a number of years where they have the staff and the resources to be able to deal with the information. But they will have the resources, I think, at some point. But whether it's now is a really interesting question.
True. This was a really insightful session, and I think for someone who doesn't know about crypto taxes that much, or how to start off with the basics of crypto taxation, I'm sure your channel, Crypto Tax Geek, would be a great place to start off from. And I think after the conversation with you, we also know why you are called Crypto Tax Geek. I think that name perfectly suits you. I think this was the end of our session today with Neeraj, and we will come back with him and have a few more sessions where we'll have a lot more questions for Neeraj. And this was, however, our first edition of VOC's podcast with Crypto Tax Geek. Thank you so much, Neeraj, for answering all those questions.
You're most welcome. Thank you so much for having me on.